If you're having any soy machine troubles, a lot of times just a basic cleaning, and in this case on the Bernette 33 and the 35, we're going to put a couple drops of oil in, and probably this machine needs a new needle. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and we do free video tutorials on a lot of different soy machines, embroidery machines, and sergers. And today we're working with the Bernette machines, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to maintain this machine and why we even need to do it in the first place. Plus, how often do we need to have our machines serviced at a local soy machine store? And to top it all off, we're going to dive into when to adjust tension and how to do it. But so many times people will say, oh, my tension's off, and they just want to go changing their tension. I think that's just from years ago, and grandma said, oh, her machine's tension was off. Well, grandma might not have never had her machine cleaned or even known how to clean her own machine, and that always led to other problems. So we're just going to go through some highlights, and if you've been struggling, no matter which machine you have, these tips will help you no matter which machine you actually have. So first off, what are some linty fabrics that we sew on? So fabrics that are linty can get down and leave a lot of lint below this throat plate. So we're going to be going in, taking this apart, and I'm going to show you how to put it all back together as well. So linty fabrics could be things like fleeces, even cotton fabrics. If you've noticed when you've sewed with just cotton fabric, or cotton batting is a very linty product, minky fabric, the fur, but you just can feel like you go like this on your sewing table and you just know that there's a lot of lint around, or you've been sewing for a while and a lot of lint is kind of like gathered at the top of your needle on this screw area on your needle threader. It's all linty here. That is your indication that it's time to clean out. Also, if you find a lot of lint here, it can be because of the thread you've selected. So linty threads or low quality threads will leave a lot of extra lint, and it is crucial to clean it out if you're using just some generic threads. The higher quality threads don't leave as much lint and usually make the machine sew a little smoother and consistently. So work on finding quality threads when you're using these machines. It will make your headaches just go away. So first off, if you've got a lot of lint here just because you've been sewing for the last couple of days, it might be worth taking your scissors, clipping the thread from the top, and then pulling the thread out from down below. Because if you pull it backwards, you will find that the thread, as it leaves this area and goes back up through the machine, you're going to drag that lint back up through there. So if you're sewing on a lot of linty things, clip it and keep pulling it out and away from the inside of the machines. Next, let's go ahead and slide off the accessory box and take the bobbin case out. Now this machine has a front load bobbin case, which means that there is a place in here that we need to oil because it's metal on metal, and that eventually will get dried out and we need to put some lubrication in. So after removing your top thread and your bobbin case, now the manual will always tell you to unplug the machine or turn off the machine. So I'm going to leave mine on because, tell you the truth, there's a light, and sometimes that is what's going to help me see what I'm cleaning out. But for safety features, we have to say that, right? So if you're more safety, go ahead and turn your machine off, and that's so you don't accidentally step on your foot control. The things that I've pulled out from my machine is a screwdriver and some of the extra needles. Now what you are going to want to do is click on the links below. We have a link to some soy machine oil, and it should be very clear, and soy machine oil is different than like a 3-in-1 oil, so make sure you're actually getting oil that is machine specific. You're going to need some type of brush. This is my absolute favorite, and it's actually wool. They call it a wool dust it, and I'm going to be able to get in here and just go whoosh. It's like a Swiffer for soy machines, and I can just go in, clean it out super fast, because one thing you're not going to want to do is blow into this. So if you have a can of air, like canned air, that is not a soy machine product. Do not use it, because what you're going to do is you're going to blow more lint inside the machine than out. So you never want to blow in the machine, especially by using your breath. You will find that that moisture is not a good thing in here. So we always want to brush it and pull it out, not push it in. If you ever have one of those little miniature vacuum attachments, those are great too, because then you're sucking it out. So same concept, removing it from the machine. Okay, let's also, you know what, this needle I've been using for a while, let's go ahead and twist here. If this is not something you can twist with your fingers, you're going to take a screwdriver and twist on that screw and drop that needle out. Now, I have this other little tool. Tell you the truth, this comes from our Viking and Pfaff companies, and I love this because when I have customers that have trouble getting their hands in here, especially when they're putting that needle back in, do you see that little hole? That hole can take the needle, drop it in here, and there's actually a flat side of the hole back here, because when you have a needle, the flat side always goes towards the back of the machine, and you can be way back here and easily insert it and bring it back up. So I'm going to just have you, we'll do that shortly, but I just wanted to point this out. We did put a link below if you're interested in one of these handy dandy tools, and it's actually good for a couple other things as well. It's kind of at a thin side and a thick side. So if you're going over really thick seams, this is like a hump jumper where it will actually help level out your foot so you don't get skip stitches or long stitches as you're trying to go over a really thick seam. So that's a multi-purpose tool. You can also take off your foot, which might be a little easier because we're going to want to get below here. And to do that, there's just a lever in the back that when you touch it and touch it towards you, it just drops off the foot. That's how easy it is to change these feet. So let's go ahead and just get a little further. You're going to need the larger screwdriver. There's 2 screwdrivers that come with the burnettes. Now you're going to notice that when you come in at an angle, it's kind of awkward. So what I want you to do is take the end here, come up through the inside of the machine. There's just enough room where you can get in there and start to loosen this. And once you've loosened it a little bit, you can take your finger and give it a little twirl, and that will bring out that screw. We want to take this plate off. Now there's another screw in the back, which I have gone ahead and loosened. Oh, not all the way. We'll give that another couple twists, and then I could do the same thing with my finger. Just give it a little twirl and take that screw out. So you're going to find that a lot of lint is going to gather right where these teeth are on the machine. So whatever color of fabric you've been working on lately, that's going to be all in this area. The next thing you're going to do is find these 2 black arms, and you're going to push one to each side. So that one's going to go to the right. This black arm is going to go to the left. And you're going to find that this silver area, the race cover as it's called, will come out. Now, as you start to pull this out, you're going to be like, how am I going to get this all back in? Notice right at the bottom, there's this nice little knob or nub, okay? It has a place right here, an opening. So when we go to put this back in, there's only one way it fits is when those 2 line up. And then later we're going to push these black arms back into position and click it back into place. So we move the arms out of the way, we take the race cover off, and the last thing to pull out is the hook. The center part here is loose, and the hook is this half moon shape that you can see. And what it does is that the sharp part, I mean, yes, it is sharp. It's a lot sharper than you realize, but that's what comes around and picks up the stitch from the needle and draws it all the way down and brings the stitch and makes the stitch. So it's pretty amazing. But every time you take a stitch, this rotates down and back. So what we want to do is next get in, clean out all the lint. See how easy that would be that you have and can see. And then we're going to put a little oil on this hook on the outside perimeter. You can put a couple drops. If you want, you can just kind of take it with your finger and rub it around the outside. And the way this goes back in, as you can see, half the moon is here. This is the other half. So it just kind of sits in. There's only one place it really sits in nice and flush with the machine. And once it's sitting there, then we can go ahead and reassemble. Line up the bottom little opening and the nub together. Bring the arms back in place. Put your bobbin case back in. Remember, if you go left-handed, you have your index finger holds this in the right position. Make it really easy to put back in. Position the plate back where it was so the screw holes line up. Use the screwdriver to kind of snug up the screws. Which to put on next? Always put the foot on and then the needle goes in last. The reason for it is it will give you a place for everything to line up. And to put the foot back on, you're just going to line up the little bar underneath the ankle and lower the presser foot down slowly until it clicks and attaches. Now sometimes I'll lower down my presser foot when I go to put my needle in, gives me a little bit more room here. Flat side to the back. If you don't have the tool, put the point of the needle in down first in the middle of the foot and then come straight up and then tighten the screw gently. So here's the trick. This screw you cannot over tighten. If you do, you're going to make this like not be able to hold the needle eventually. So you need it to be snug, but not over tightened. All right. If you have this little tool, you'll see how easy it is. Drop the needle into the hole. Let the tool hold the flat side to the back so it doesn't spin. Drop the point in. Make sure your needle goes as high as it can and then tighten down that screw with your fingers. If you're unsure if the needle went as high as it will be, you'll find that if it isn't, your needle threader will not line up with the hole. So just make sure that it gets to the highest position before you tighten that screw into place. If you have lowered the presser foot, make sure that it gets lifted prior to threading up the machine. And I'm actually going to switch threads and use a variegated thread, so the thread that changes color, and to show you how to adjust tension as we do the next lesson. With the presser foot up, remember to take the time to hold the threads both before and after the tension area and floss. That makes sure that the thread goes all the way deep into the tension area before continuing the threading path. If you haven't mastered the needle threader, we'll put a link to the needle threader video right up here so you can go check it out. Let's turn our hand wheel towards us and bring up the bobbin thread. One full stitch means this comes back to the highest position. Pull up the loop and put the threads down between the center of the foot. Close the door. And if you like your accessory box on for a little extended table, let's do that. And I always recommend that we sew on a piece of fabric to just double check that, number one, everything got put back together correctly. And then two, because we've put a little oil down in the bobbin case area, we want to make sure that if the oil kind of is a little extra, that if it's coming up, we want to make sure that it doesn't come up on your actual fabric. And I can see that it is. The thread that is showing on this fabric is a little bit grayish. So I'm going to just keep sewing until I don't see kind of that oily look on the thread. I don't know if you can see, but it was a little bit discolored right here where I started on this row where it was blue, and then it got a little bit more clear as it went. Okay, so how do we play with tension? So number one, if you're having machine troubles, what I want you to do is not blame the tension. Tension should be left about 4, especially if you have the same thread in your needle as you do in your bobbin. That means they're balanced. But one way to kind of look is if you go to a zigzag and set it for its widest setting. I actually now have 2 threads in the machine, and that helps me show you if we need to adjust something, what we're actually adjusting. But so many times people think the tension needs to be adjusted, and what you actually need is a new needle. You need to clean the machine, or you need to rethread the machine and make sure that it actually got in the tension disc. And that was that flossing that we did. That really is what makes it work. And if you don't do that, you don't get the thread in there all the way, that is going to make it look like, well, it's going to look like a mess on the back. So that's not tension at all. That's operator error. And also too, are you using a quality thread? Quality threads versus not so great quality threads will make you have to adjust your tension. So let's just look at what it is. When we do a zigzag, what is tension all about? Turn the hand wheel, bring the take-up lever to the highest position, lift up the foot, and use the thread cutter in the back. Okay, perfect tension is when you see the top thread on the top and our pink thread on the back, but you don't see pink thread on the top or multicolored thread on the back. They are totally balanced and they're connecting each other on the inside, right where the two fabrics are. So I'm going to actually, to make this actually look unbalanced, I'm going to go ahead and tighten my tension. Let's go all the way up to like 7, okay? And I'm going to stitch. So let's say you were actually using 2 different weights of thread. Okay, tell you the truth, my second row doesn't really look like I changed much. So I'm going to go to the opposite direction. You know, what it'll be is if the top thread has pulled your bobbin thread to the top, then you're going to loosen it, so smaller number. I'm going to loosen it a lot. Then we'll probably see the threads this time be a little better where it pulls to the back side because now this is loose and the bobbin's tighter, it's going to pull to the back. But what you can do is you can adjust it. So if you, that's much better. So right now, see how we're seeing those extra threads on the back? And it's okay if that's what you're looking for, is a pretty stitch on the top. It's okay to have it pulled to the back, but most of the time you want to see it nice and balanced. So if this was the result that you're getting, you're going to tighten up the top. So we're always tightening or loosening only the top thread because the dial's only on the top. It's not on the bobbin. So I'm going to just turn it back to 4, which is where we started and where it really looked the best when we stitched. Now, if you don't remember which way to go with tension, you're going to find that if you go higher and it gets worse, you went the wrong way. So all you have to do is go the opposite direction. If you have little kids that come visit and they've touched the little red dial because it looks pretty and they've turned it up to 9, guess what? It's no problem. All you have to do is just turn it back to the number that you were at. Like I said, 4 being kind of where you need to be. So don't scold them. Just note that if something doesn't look right, did this actually get changed? And see if that was actually the problem when that happens. Also, the last thing about tension. If you need to adjust it and it's at 4 and you move it just a little bit, you are not going to see any change on your fabric. So I would recommend if you're going to change it a whole number or 2 numbers and see if you actually see a difference. Now, let's talk about the last thing. When do you need your machine serviced at a professional sewing machine store? What we recommend is for all sewing machines, just like a car, to get on an annual service. So whether you sew a lot or you don't sew at all, there's going to be a time where you just need to keep it lubricated and keep it in a ready-to-use state. If this machine sits and dries out, it's not good for the machine. So make sure that you use it on a regular basis, and if you use it a lot, just every year, just take it in. Usually, great time is when you're going on vacation and have it serviced then, and then when you get back, it's all ready to go. Just like your car, this is important to keep it serviced and maintained, and the machine will last you a long time. All right, have a great time sewing. Hopefully one of these tips was something that will help you no matter what machine you own. Put in the comments below which tip was the most helpful for you. If this video has been helpful, remember, I hope you're clicking the like button as you watch them all. And right here at the end, you'll find a link to the complete playlist of all the videos that we have done on the Bernette 33 and the Bernette 35.